You're on the air.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. This meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Thank you all for watching. Before we get started, as always, we're going to have to pledge allegiance to the flag. So everybody please rise. Councilman Borelli will lead us.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence. Keep in mind all the servicemen and with their families. Thank you.
Okay, welcome again, everyone. Tonight's meeting is the Town Board work session at 6 p.m. This evening, the Town Board met an executive session with our Town Council, Chetty, to discuss a litigation update, and the litigation update was involving Homeland Towers. So tonight's work session, we have 5 items on the agenda, and for the record, all Town Board members are present. All Town Board members are present with us this evening, as is our Town Council. As I said earlier, Greg Fulchetti, Mike Simone, our Highway Superintendent, is here. Jim Gilchrist, our Recreation Director, is with us, and Mary Ann Maxwell, our Town Controller. So the first item on the agenda is the review of the Town Board minutes of August 26th and September 2nd, 2020. Does any Town Board members have any questions or comments on those minutes? If not, we're going to move on. Okay, first item on the agenda, Mary Ann Maxwell, Town Controller. This is to consider request to authorize budget revisions May through August of 2020. Hey, Mary Ann.
Good evening. The first budget revision is in the general fund on page 1, providing for payout of accrued vacation time per the employee handbook of approximately $8,300. Number 2, we're providing a transfer for the retirement incentive and payout of accrued time for 3 retirees in the police department. The total payout of accrued time is $339,000, and we also did a retirement incentive of $50,000 each, and the $50,000 each, a total of $150,000 is coming from the police staff uniform pay line. Number 3, we're providing $5,000 for certiorari settlements. Number 5, we're transferring for highway garage expenses of $17,000. Number 6, in the general fund, we're transferring for Lake Patrol overtime expenses. Currently, the Lake Patrol overtime is at $35,000. That does not include the Labor Day weekend Lake Patrol, but we are partially reimbursed for this from the state. So just wanted to mention that. Number 7, we're transferring for miscellaneous recreation expenses within the recreation budget. In the highway fund, we're providing for a highway project cost from CHIPS funding. I'm just bringing the revenue up to match the expenses in the CHIPS line. Number 9, we're transferring for weeds and brush overtime of $25,000. That is mostly due to the tropical storm Isaias. I do have a meeting tomorrow with regard to possibly funding through FEMA with that, so I will keep the board posted on that. On page 2, in the Lake Mahopac Park District, transferring $14,000 for contractual expenses. In Lake Secor Park District, we're transferring for temporary labor and contractual expenses a total of $7,000. In Carmel Water District number 2, we're providing for emergency repairs from revenue through that we received through an insurance claim of $5,900. Number 13, also in Water District number 2, we're transferring for 2 emergency turbine pump replacements, totaling $71,800. That's coming from the contingency and the repair reserve line. In Carmel Water District number 5, we're providing for a pump replacement from an anticipated insurance claim. This happened also during the storm. The total cost is $10,376. In Carmel Water District number 6, we're providing also for a pump replacement, a total of $9,300, also happened during the storm. Carmel Water District number 7, we're providing for equipment and emergency repairs of $31,949, both equipment and emergency repairs. Carmel Water District number 8, we're providing for emergency repairs from an anticipated insurance claim of $4,128. Carmel Water District number 9, transferring for contractual expenses of $7,400. Carmel Water District number 10, transferring for emergency repairs of $11,000. Carmel Water District number 12, we're transferring for miscellaneous expenses totaling approximately $20,000. Purchase of water was $6,350, and emergency repairs was $12,000. Most of that was due to a very dry summer where we had to truck in water in that district. On the bottom of this page, Carmel Sewer District number 1, we're providing and transferring for contractual expenses totaling $29,400. $15,000 of that is coming from the fund balance in that district. Carmel Sewer District number 2, we're providing for emergency parts for the Muffin Monster and the sewer jetting costs for year 1. $95,000 is coming from the fund balance in that district. Also in Sewer District number 2, we're providing for the sand filter roof replacement. $598,000 is coming from the fund balance in that district. Also in Sewer District number 2, we're transferring a total of $75,000 within the budget for contractual expenses and purchase of water. Carmel Sewer District number 3, we're also taking $7,000 from the fund balance into the contractual expense line and transferring $2,500 as well from a different line. Carmel Sewer District number 4, we're transferring for contractual expenses and microfiltration chemicals, a total of $18,000. Carmel Sewer District number 5, we're providing for engineering services for Sewer District 5 facility plan upgrade of $8,000. On page 5, you'll see the costs for emergency repairs within the water and sewer districts. This will come from, if we do get the federal aid from FEMA, it's approximately $40,000 that we've expensed already with our operators, totaling, about $40,000. So if we do get the funding, that will offset that cost. I do anticipate more costs coming in, so we'll get a total of that when we, go forward with the funding if we do. Lake Cassie Park District Capital Fund, we're providing, recording the capital authorization, proceeds of bonds of $228,000, and Tea Kettle Park District, the same, $157,206. That's a lot. Any questions?
No, but Mary Ann, when you said you're going to be meeting with FEMA tomorrow, has there any been discussion with regard to the COVID line that we had prepared?
The COVID line, we have a discussion tomorrow with FEMA with the storm, so that's at 9 o'clock in the morning. I do also have a conference call at 2 o'clock with regard to COVID. I've already submitted some expenses for PPEs and other costs. So basically, it's a follow-up meeting tomorrow at 2 o'clock to see what.
What was in that line that we had?
Right now, we've submitted for $15,000. That's just for PPEs. That's all they're working on right now.
Okay.
We also will be submitting for reopening costs, so like the plexiglass, like
Right.
that kind of stuff. So there's different ways that you submit. The first is the PPEs, which is the personal protective equipment. So that's the first submission, and then the second submission will be anything that we had to do to reopen town hall.
Okay.
So it's very complicated, but that's how they're doing it. So, but hopefully we'll get the $15,000 done. That's through August. That's all of our PPE costs through August. Masks, hand sanitizers, wipes, all that stuff. So that's what we've spent so far on that through August. So.
Mary Ann,
Okay.
just real quick, the purchase of water for $4,500 for Carmel Water District number 7, was that the same for 12? It was due to the dry weather?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm sorry I didn't mention that.
No,
But yes.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Thank
there
you.
was. I think there were restrictions in Water District 7 and
Right.
Water District 12.
Okay, got
So
it.
Water District 12 was a little bit more, but yeah, it was the same.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
One of the biggest expenses, Frank, for COVID precautions in this building were the plexiglass shields. The dividers that we had to retrofit throughout the whole building. That was a pretty significant cost that we're hoping that we're gonna, in excess of
Yeah.
$18,000.
Right.
So that's something that.
That's the second submission.
That's the second submission, yeah.
We'll go through, yeah.
the first submission was the PPEs, but the second big cost was getting this building ready for the staff to come back.
Right, so that's like a
In June.
reopening phase that's, that, they're still, I guess, working on fine tuning the submission of that, so.
Okay, is there any further questions or comments for Mary Ann on this item? Okay, thanks, Mary Ann. Number 2, it's also Mary Ann, consider year-end 2019 LoSAP annual reports for Carmel Ambulance District and Carmel Fire Protection Districts 1 and 2.
Okay, so Carmel Ambulance, the annual report for Carmel Ambulance Corp. The contribution due in 2020 is a decrease of almost $6,700 compared to the contribution due in 2019. Favorable investment performance in 2019 had the effect of keeping the contribution requirement lower than it would be otherwise have been. If you look down halfway through the page, the funding ratio is 120% as of 2019 compared to 102% in 2018. The market was doing very well in 2019. Of course, because of COVID, things may have, I anticipate it to change in 2020, but we are contributing the same amount just to keep that funding ratio up there with the LoSAP program. So we will be contributing $21,000 in 2020 and budgeting also in 21 to do the same. In Carmel Fire Protection District number 1, also the contribution due in 2021 is a decrease of $15,800 compared to 2020. The town made a contribution of $280,000 in 2019, exceeding the calculated amount of $175. So we're contributing more, and we've always done this in the past couple years. The calculated contribution was $175 in 2019, but we contributed $280, just so because we were having a hard time keeping that funded ratio up there. So right now, the funded ratio for Fire Protection District number 1 is 93%. As of January 1st of 2019, it was 77%. So what we're doing is working, keeping that program funded, basically. So we're contributing $280 in 2020, and I'm budgeting $290,000 in 2021. In Carmel Fire Protection District number 2, the same thing. The funded ratio is 98%, which it was 82%. So that's also a sign of how the market was in 2019. We don't know what's going to happen as of the end of 2020, but the market has turned around, so hopefully we'll continue that. Also, we're budgeting we're paying $295,000 in 2020, and we're budgeting $305,000 in 2021. So all these funds are doing well right now with the market, the investments are doing well.
Okay, so any cost, Mary Ann, just for the benefit of the public, any cost or any increases in costs for these programs is borne by the residents that reside in those protection districts?
Correct.
So
Correct.
Carmel Ambulance would be those who benefit from Carmel Ambulance.
Right.
Fire Protection District 1, 2, or 3, no matter which district you're in, that's who pays that additional increase.
Right.
So it's not spread out throughout the entire town.
Right. And
It's paid-
Carmel Fire Protection District 3, they handle their own LoSAP. So
And they
we don't-
budget for that
Correct.
annually also,
Right. So we don't
I think
fund
it's
that
important to
anymore.
note that any increases are not town-wide increases.
Right.
Just those
The
residents from that
district
Right.
increases, yeah.
Okay.
So I just need a resolution to accept those reports.
All right, Greg, fair resolution?
That for the 23rd, right? You're not meeting next week,
Right.
next week's plan?
Right.
So we'll do that
23rd.
for them.
All right,
Okay.
good. Thanks, Mary Ann.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Mary Ann.
Okay, next, number 3, Rich Franzetti, Town Engineer, is to consider a request to acknowledge emergency repairs and services for Carmel Water District Number 2. Rich?
Memorandum is being presented to the board to advise of emergency invoices submitted in payment of $5,000. Carmel Water District 2, there was a water main repair. On July 31st, August 3rd, and August 5th, Infomark, the operator of Carmel Water 2, alerted the engineering department. Cook Excavating was called in to replace 2 leaking service lines at 7 and 9 Kyle Court. There's an invoice in the amount of $17,823.94 for these repairs, which have included the digging up, locating of the main, and the replacement of the curb valves. This is being placed on as a matter of record.
Okay. Rich, do they know why they were leaking or no?
No,
Just-
they were leaking, and what was odd about this is that where the valves and where the service lines were at the end of the cul-de-sac, really at one end of the cul-de-sac, and the houses were to the, 30, 40 feet away at the other end of the cul-de-sac going into their properties. So they were just leaking because either it was bad copper from when it was put in, or it could be a million different reasons, so.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any questions?
Just so the board knows, you were talking about Carmel Water District 7 and the emergency. I'll be bringing to the board that we're going to lift the mandatory restrictions. I have to bring that to the board. You need to vote on it. I will be doing that also for Carmel Water District 12. We seem to be okay with that at the moment. So just wanted to let you know that that's not happening tonight. It'll happen at the next work session, so just so you're aware of that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rich.
Hey, Rich, just before you leave, Mary Ann brought it up in her budget transfers. The roof repair for the treatment building up in Sewer 2?
Yes.
Has that begun?
Yes, it has. They were having a hard time getting the trusses in because everything was back ordered due to COVID. So they have submitted a whole bunch of submittals. It's going through process right now, and they've started prepping the site. So I'll have a better update for you by the end of the week.
So
So.
it's anticipated that the repairs will be completed?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're looking to do it. Everything was delayed because of COVID-19, and they couldn't get supplies.
Okay,
So.
all right. Because we're close to being in the fall, I just want to make sure that that roof is completed and buttoned up before we get any bad weather. So they should get it done in time.
Yes, that's
What you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my understanding. I have not heard contrary, but I will give the board a better rundown in my monthly report.
Okay,
So.
thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number 4, Mike Simone, Highway Superintendent. This is consider request to declare old vehicles and equipment obsolete and authorize disposal of same. Mike?
Good evening. In front of you is a description of the vehicles that I'd like to dispose of. Most of them are at least 14 years, if not older, all the way up to probably 26 years. So I will tell you that at least 2 of the items here are going on Auctions International to see if we can salvage anything more than scrap metal out of them,
Okay.
but I need to get an authorization to
Can you say
to
which
dispose of.
ones, Mike, which ones are going on?
Yeah,
there?
the Eager Beaver roller,
Yeah.
which is still functional, but as you know, we are coming into some newer equipment, and the John Deere loader, which earlier this year, the board authorized me to get 2020 new loader. This one is still operating and running. We do have a dollar amount that we are trading in, so that my bids will start above that, so that anything I get above that will be
Oh, good.
Okay,
gained, so.
all right, good. When do you anticipate accepting delivery of the new loader?
I think they said sometime around November.
All right, so this year, sometime?
Yeah,
before-
no, we'll be getting it this year. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. And any trucks, any new plow trucks?
Yeah, new trucks you won't see
You
until.
won't see in,
No, we placed the order, but we'll be lucky to see them next April, May, something like that. They're a year behind easily,
Okay.
so.
all right. All right, now that auction site, Auction International, they've been getting decent money for used municipal vehicles.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
in particular, the roller and the loader, you should see, pretty decent offers on that. We have, I think, 4 or 5 Chevy Caprices that are no longer in use that are going to wind up on that site also eventually.
Okay.
So we've been pretty successful in the past, so, as you know.
Yeah, oh, no, we've done some.
You've put some
ama-
vehicles on there
yeah,
that-
Amazing numbers that you get for.
Yeah.
for- I hate to say junk, but
So I'm glad.
it's junk.
You would think that they were junk, but people are
They
making
want,
offers on
yeah,
this.
Yeah.
sure.
So, all right, good. I'm glad you're doing that, Mike.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Board
Thank
have
you.
any questions or comments for Mike on this?
Nope,
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
thank you.
Okay, next, number 5, Jim Gilchrist, Director of Parks and Recreation. Consider request to authorize Eagle Scout project. This is a tree bench at Sycamore Park for Chris Stiller, Eagle Scout candidate. Hey, Chris. How you doing? Hi, how are you? Welcome. We're going to talk a little bit about your Eagle Scout project. Yeah, I like it. Looks like what you're proposing to do is a nice project. So you want to bring us through that?
Yeah, I just want to let you know that Chris did come in front of the Recreation Committee last Thursday evening. We actually met outside right next to this tree that he's proposing. It's the large pine tree out in the great lawn out there. So the entire committee's in favor of it. It'll be a great asset to our park for the camp program, for general people just coming to the park and picnicking and something. It's a really nice idea. And this is one of the projects that we did have on the list. We have an ongoing list in Sycamore Park for Eagle Scout projects, as I explained a couple weeks ago. So Chris, why don't you go through?
Yeah, hey, Jim, that's a pine tree? It's a pine tree? correct?
It's an arborvitae. It's a big arborvitae.
Okay. And what kind of health is it in? Is it in good shape?
Excellent shape.
Okay.
Yep.
All right,
And the
yeah.
branches are approximately right now about 6 feet high. Through this project, we're going to lift them up even higher
Okay.
underneath.
Yeah.
And there's probably an overhang of about 8 feet from the trunk out all the way around, so it's a nice shaded area.
It looks like it has a nice canopy. You know, that if you're sitting on that bench, you'll be in a shaded area. Should be, so that'd be nice. Yeah, we look forward to hearing it. All right, Chris, what are you looking to do?
All right, so I went to the park to decide on an Eagle Scout project, and I looked through the list that they had, and the tree bench interested me the most. I used to go to camp at Sycamore Park, and I mean, everyone was just trying to get out of the sun. I mean, there were kids who had to like go out on ambulances because they had a heat stroke, I remember. But yeah, I figured it was a great spot to put this bench, and I mean, I wish it was there when I was younger, so I figured it was good enough to choose for my project. So the picture you guys have of the built bench,
Yeah.
it's a circle. It won't be exactly like that. This tree is a little too wide to do a circle, so it's going to be more of an oval shape. Our framing is going to be like a hexagon, and then the bench on top is going to be an oval, and it's going to be about 2 feet wide all the way around, and we're going to have an 8-inch gap in between the bench and the tree to make sure it has room for growth.
Using pressure-treated wood?
Yes, we're going to use pressure-treated wood, and we're going to put it on cement blocks to make sure that it doesn't rot in like a long time.
You don't need footings because it's not a lot of weight that you're looking to
Yeah,
carry on it, so,
Yeah, we're not looking to go deep, just make sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask, the cement pavers, they're not gonna go on the roots, right?
Slabs about this big.
Yeah, okay. It looks really nice, and it's 18 inches tall, Chris?
Yeah,
Is it plus or minus, it says, yeah?
Yeah, it's gonna,
Okay.
that's about what it's gonna be. It's like
Yeah.
average seat height.
Yeah. It looks awesome.
Thank you.
Go at it.
So Chris, looks like you came up with an estimated total of 700?
Yeah, I went over this with a carpenter. I had him help me put it together. He's gonna actually help me on the actual project because I have no experience in carpentry, so I'm not sure how it would turn out in the end if I did it all on my own. But he said that it's not gonna be more than $700 with everything involved. I have a breakdown on this piece of paper. It's not, the price for each object isn't on your paper, but
Yeah, but the total is.
yes.
All right,
It's gonna
Chris,
be really nice.
It's gonna be nice, yeah. We're
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing it built, absolutely. How are you gonna raise the money for this project? What were your plans for that, for fundraising?
Well, I'm not 100% sure because of the whole COVID thing. Usually, I would go to Red Mills and ask to do a bake sale or something along those lines. I'm gonna have to look more into it, but I'm definitely planning on doing fundraising. I've had like family, friends offer to put in money, but I mean, I have to look into it.
Great.
When you know,
Supervisor Schmidt's gonna,
I'm
my
gonna-
my
I'm gonna-
my pocketbook is in the back, so I can't outbid him.
$60.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yep,
There you go. Put that towards you.
Thank you so much.
yeah.
It's
Good
gonna help
job,
me out a
Karen.
lot.
Yeah?
Get the,
I know,
Yeah, I guess
I know.
actually,
Yeah,
go
I-
broke by the end of the year. I actually contributed to the last Eagle
Well-
Scout candidate that came in here.
Yeah. Well, it's really
Same
nice.
thing.
my birthday's actually in
Jim,
January,
in the
so I
future,
have a
ask the
crunch.
candidates coming with a credit card machine or debit card machine. Yeah, might as well.
So you have to finish it by January then, right, Chris?
Yeah, I have a time
You have
crunch.
a
I got-
time
old are you?
crunch, sure.
I'm 17, more than a half.
Come on.
I'll be 18 January 7th, so
So you need to
This is a
finish this.
must.
I gotta
You
get
got it?
going.
All right.
Oh, that's
Alright.
great.
Well,
It looks beautiful.
good
I
luck
can't
with-
wait to
good
come
luck-
and
good
sit
luck with
on
it.
it.
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
we're looking forward to going over there and seeing it.
Good luck with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And whenever your Eagle Scout Court of Honor ceremony is, either one or a couple of us will be there. Frank is our Eagle
Yeah.
Scout.
Chris, I noticed that if you've been leaving it up to your mom to change your second class to,
I-
go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't actually received my Life Scout patch,
Okay.
so when that comes in, it'll be ready for court order.
All right.
I'd actually like to say, Mr. Lombardi, did you enjoy your food at Savor the other night?
I did.
I was your delivery driver if you,
Well, maybe you could put the tip towards the,
We're gonna start this again. Okay, I'll give it to him.
actually, just to let you know, so what I do is, my dad doesn't drive anymore because he had a stroke. So what I do is I order a few things
Uh-huh.
and I bring it to them for a few days for the week. But before I bring it there, I wipe it all down and stuff because he's had
Yeah.
some medical issues. So that's why it came to me first.
All right.
So, but thank you, I appreciate it.
of course.
All right, Chris. Great. Anybody have any further questions or comments for Chris? Sounds like it's an exciting project and looking forward to seeing it completed. Best of luck with it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Have a good night.
Yeah,
Take care,
you too, Chris. Thanks. Okay, so that completes the agenda items for tonight. If there are any comment on those items, come on up to the podium. I just need your name. Okay, there being none, I'm going to now open the floor up to general public comment. This is the open forum, new business portion of the meeting where you can come up and comment to the board on any town-related issues or topics. Okay. All right. Sure, go ahead.
Anne's not here, but she did get back to me via email about some of the requests that I had submitted. So she did get back to me on the data request that I submitted, so thank you for that. There's one that she got back to me today, which was on the 23 locations with the town, of the town properties that Homeland looked at and then turned down. And she is saying that due to the size of the files, the records have been copied to a CD. I can pick it up. Please be advised that several documents have been excluded from Article 6, Section 87, yada, yada, that I would have to come talk to you about it. So can you push that request through?
Well, actually, I'm going to defer to council.
So, Rich Franzetti had provided a series of documents on the CD that I had reviewed last week and earlier this week. I think there was about 170 actual documents. There's probably 8 or 10 of them that fall into an exception in FOIL. It's 87-2I, and it regards telecommunications companies and either their electronic information or infrastructure. Those are withheld pursuant to that. There's a pile of other documentation. Ms. Gandolfo certainly has the right to appeal it, and if she does, the appeal comes to you. And, you can decide that appeal at that time. I would think that in that time frame, those documents would probably end up being released, but I wasn't in a position in the scope of, I think we had till the 9th or the 10th.
Yeah,
to get it to
I
you.
literally just got it before I came here, so that's why I was like, I figured I'd ask you while
Right.
I was here.
There's probably about 150, 160 either documents or maps or whatever that are included in that. And I think there was 8 or 10, is that right, Rich? 8 or 10 that fall into that exception. But that's something I can look at further even before the appeal. I just wasn't in a position to let him go right now. And I wanted, the first 2 components of the request have been complied with last week with respect to
Yeah.
the R5 reports. And I just wanted to get it out so that they had the materials by today or tomorrow, whichever the date was. So that's something that I'm sure we'll look into further going
Okay.
forward.
So I can pick up the CD that is released either tomorrow or later this
Yes.
week. How should I follow up on the other documents here?
If you want them, you can send an email to Ann Spofford or to Supervisor Schmidt saying, I hereby appeal the denial of that category
Particular
of
thing.
records. And you can paste out what Ann had put in her email, and
Okay.
then that'll be determined, okay?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, is there anyone else? Public comment?
My name's Joe Remisto. Basically about the cell tower, but this is an off question also. I was looking at the budget here, and you have $157,206 for a budget for the Park District of Tea Kettle, which is basically in the same area. You're talking doing a tower. Can you possibly give us a breakdown of this budget? I read it, I couldn't understand it, $20,000
Was
for
that as
engineering?
part, was that as,
This
is that
tea
part of
kettle.
the budget
Yes.
transfers?
Yeah, it was for part of the budget.
Okay.
I didn't make it up here.
that for the
Rich,
dam?
is that for the dam?
That's for the dam.
The dam work?
I couldn't hear the question, so.
I'm sorry,
The
Rich.
question is,
There was a budget transfer for Lake Tea Kettle Park District. Did they start the dam rehabilitation or dam work over there?
So Phase 1 is starting, I don't know if they've actually started cutting trees there, but I know that they've, they have? Which, upper or lower? Lower, okay, so they're going to be doing upper next. They have outlined they've done the survey of it, identified where it was. I think they did a bat survey last evening to make sure there were no Indiana bats, because that was part of what had to be done, and they started cutting trees at the lower one today, and they'll be doing the upper one next week. So that's the 157 is in the budget, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
so it's
Yes.
total, the dam's being paid off in one shot, correct?
No, this is Phase 1.
Okay, what's the total on the project?
Don't know yet, because we don't know what Phase 2 is going to bring, because we need to clear all the trees to understand what work needs to be done.
Was the 20,000 for engineering didn't cover what needed to be done, or what the
No,
estimates would be?
it was the first phase of it. That's been explained from the beginning, so.
And where do I get that information from?
It's all been documented in town board meetings. It's been presented to the board as it was being done.
It's not all in one place where we can gather it?
If you could foil it, that would be a way to do it, but I mean, you can ask me for it, I'll give it to you tomorrow. I mean, it's not a big issue. I have it. It's all memos that were all part of the town board record.
I would appreciate it.
So you're clear on it, that was a regulatory mandate?
Yes, thank you.
The board was under for Upper and Lower Tea Kettle and Cassie. And those projects
Yes.
were all, had a public hearing in March of 19 for the borrowing in connection with those numbers. And it is the first phase of it. There may be some other remediation that has to be done, but you won't know until the actual first stage is done. But that's, I think, March and April of 2019, those projects were both authorized after public hearing, so that stuff is all available. And DEC made you do it.
So there's no final estimate yet? Well, this is just a phase of getting into looking at the estimate.
This is the first phase to remove the trees, then the next step is to do the assessment of the dam, to understand if there's any seepage, because if there's seepage through the dam, you're gonna have to maybe line it with bentonite or restructure the dam so that it's not leaking anymore. So you can't really see that because all the trees are there.
Wouldn't it be cheaper just to take it down and put a new dam up at that point?
No,
No?
no.
I think so.
Unless you know something I don't, it's not really cheaper to take a whole dam down and do that.
It's tilted at this point, yes.
So you're
tilted
talking
at
the
probably
masonry
20
one?
degrees.
Yes,
Okay, thank you very much.
no problem.
Thanks, Rich. Thank you. Is there any other residents that would like to comment? Come on up at this time.
Did you say you had an update for us?
Up to the mic.
Did
I'm
you-
sorry.
Did you say you had an update for them on the tower?
Yeah, there was,
An email.
I had sent an email out to Jess, Jen, and Rob. They could share with you what that update is.
They're working on it, but
Where-
they can't disclose any information.
Yeah,
Well, we've heard that for
Yeah.
weeks.
yeah, well, there was three that was on it, three that were on the, three representatives were on the email. It's, I mean, if, do you want me to add, do you want me to
We're
add?
happy to, it's just, we got the email.
Can you forward it to?
Yeah. We got the email right before coming.
Okay.
so- but
All right, Linda, Jess can forward that to you?
Okay. Since I live on the site almost, it would be nice to get a direct email, but
Yeah, the only thing I can say is discussions are ongoing with Homeland Towers, and I can't, and please, I can't comment any further beyond that, because I don't want to jeopardize the negotiations at all. So this is a public meeting, I don't want to make any public comments that later on, you know, Homeland may object to that, and it could jeopardize the negotiations. So I hope you understand that.
okay, I do have some comments then.
You have some comments?
Yeah,
Okay.
questions,
All right,
whatever they are.
we just we can't respond to those comments.
Okay. Linda Shaw, 53 Walton Drive. On the site plan, somebody sent a copy of it around. It's 9 pages, I believe. It says on page, I don't know which, page 8, in residential zones, tower setback to all residential buildings on abutting lots must be 2 times the height of the tower variant, and variance is required for setback. And also it says no landscaping for the site. I mean, we were always told, oh, we'll put some trees up or this or that. So it clearly says no landscaping for the site. And it clearly says the setback must be 2 times the height of the tower, which from all the measurements people have given me, it is not. That would be, what, 280 feet? 2 times 140? So, and it did say, this is from Verizon, this site plan. It said variance required for setback. So why was there no rezoning or variance required?
Mrs. Shaw, as I stated when you came up, we're not going to comment on that. I'm going to ask the board not to make any further comments with respect to this matter.
Oh, even about that?
Yes, it could jeopardize the negotiations.
Okay.
Even with that question, that's correct. It could.
Okay, I might have one other thing here. Oh, somebody recently told me that, well, there were 3 houses for sale in the immediate neighborhood, and one, apparently they had three different offers, and when they found, each person individually found out about the tower coming and the construction, they backed out. So, and they aren't even down at our end of the street. So I just want you to take that into consideration. What would I do with my house? I'm waiting for one of you to make an offer. And let me see, maybe that might be it. Okay, I guess that's it. All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mrs. Shaw. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and comment? Come on up at this time. Okay, there being none,
Jason Gandolfo. Why should we believe any of you? All you've done is lied to us since the beginning. Why should we believe any of you? It's obvious you're not on our side. I asked Frank 2 weeks ago or a little more than 2 weeks ago, if he was ever on the HOA or on the HOA. Were you ever on the HOA?
Never, ever.
All right. So how did this site come up with? How did you guys come up with this site? There's so many unanswered questions, and we're getting spun in circles here, and it's being done on purpose. Why should we believe any of you? You're all liars. All of you. That's all I have to say.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to comment? Come on up at this time.
Well, just one quick, when can you tell us something? Because last week, as I wrote to you, I mean,
Mrs. Short, can you come up to the microphone, please?
as I wrote last week to you in one of my emails, I said NYSEG was there. And I know Rob was out there talking to them, and then he left, and then I went out and was talking to them, and I asked them if there was an alternative site that they were also checking, and they said, we don't know what you're talking about, this is the site right here. And then he just gave me some other information that was irrelevant, but he made it clear that there was no other site being considered. Just wanted to point that out. And the same with whoever I wrote to about last week and the week before that were there. Oh yeah, Greenpoint doing a bid for trees, deforestation. They said there's one site and one site only, and it's right here, and so on. Why would, okay, never mind, I won't ask the question. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and comment? Yes, ma'am?
Annette Ramito again. It's 6 weeks now.
Can you come a little closer to the microphone? I'm sorry, or pull it back towards you, if you can?
I don't even want to touch it. I don't even want to be here, but.
Okay.
That's all right.
All right.
We can hear you.
Okay,
Well, no, the people at home,
I understand. It's 6 weeks now. We've been to 3 meetings. We've exposed ourselves to viruses. I haven't been anywhere indoors. I mean, all my activities have been outdoors. And, you know, I'm just not happy, as long as with everyone else, we're not getting any answers. Looking at the big picture and based on some details you did provide, we understand there's no data available to say there was a gap in the coverage, because we went from Croton Falls to Maple Estate. We bypassed the planning board on this negotiation. Doesn't sound like much of a negotiation based on the judges. He said, go negotiate it and work it out. But it just seems there was no negotiation. We bypassed your normal process of going to the planning board, environmental studies. I'm not sure if they received that, because I'm not aware of that yet. But we have no data to justify the cell tower jumping from Croton Falls 400 feet from the nearest home to 150 feet. Does that make any sense to you, to the homes? Does that show the diligence you did here? Do you agree? I mean, that was poor judgment, poor diligence, to go from 400 feet to the nearest home on Croton Falls Road, to 150 feet from these people directly. Excuse me, but you know that situation. Environmental studies, the birds, the lake is right. The tower's going to be overlooking the lake. The bats, the fish in the lake. You're fixing the dam, which is wonderful, but what about the environment around us? You know, it's a town park. People go fish there. I don't think they eat, they eat the fish. But don't you think that tower is going to contaminate the water in the area? I mean, we have no studies. I mean, bottom line, was everything's been bypassed. Croton Falls was denied because they felt the planning board denied it, said there wasn't enough to justify it. So I ask you, does that make any sense? Do you think you did the right job here? Because we're all, we all feel it was a backroom deal. And I know you're negotiating it, but it's 6 weeks now that we haven't heard anything. I understand you can't tell us details, but what is the expectation? When the tower's going up, we're going to find out? Or when are you going to give us the answers on that? And another question, I just want you to clarify, 23 locations was suggested town property. Was that the first order of things that you asked them, that you suggested to Homeland Towers? Here's 23 sites, and they said no? How did that whole cycle develop? Then 3 sites in Maple Estates. It's my understanding the 23 presented first, and they said no. Is that correct? Can you answer that question? Could somebody answer that question?
The 23 sites were presented to Homeland?
First? And
While
this was part of the
it was
negotiation.
during the time when they were looking at tower sites within the town of Carmel. And I believe that there were some locations on private property that they had targeted as being a potential good location for coverage for sites. So we offered them during the process, while they were considering locations, and as I said, they stated they already identified 2 private parcels. We had offered the 23 town-owned sites as an alternative to the 2 residential sites.
But this was before the court case or after?
Oh, before the federal court case?
Yeah.
It was before that.
It was before.
Way before that, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then they identified the ones in Walton?
I don't know when,
Maple Estates?
I don't know when Walton became on their radar or showed up on their radar, the Maple Hill condo. I don't know when they decided or determined that that would be a good site for a tower. That came later on
That came
in the whole
after.
process. Came after they looked at our 23 sites and after they identified the 2 privately owned parcels.
Okay.
I
and
believe that's when they considered that location.
Was that provided to them by the field engineer?
Was what provided to them?
The 3 sites in Maple Estates?
To the best of my knowledge, no. That's not something,
Shouldn't
that's
that
not something
be
that,
a fact you could say? I mean, that
Yeah.
shouldn't be the best of your knowledge. You're the town supervisor. That should be a fact. You should know where those,
you're asking me if the town offered the Maple Hill sites
yes,
as an alternative location?
yes.
No, we did not.
So they just selected.
They base it on RF frequency, RF ranges they look at data and they determine where coverage would be most suitable or where they can achieve the most coverage at a certain location. I believe that's how it's determined. There's testing that's done prior to them even beginning negotiations for a particular site. So
And they didn't apply for an application.
an application from us is not required for that. It's not required for their testing purposes.
Oh, for their testing purpose.
Right, if they're doing RF testing, no. That's not required. It only comes to us when they want to, if they determine that that's a suitable site and they'd like to move forward with it, that's when the town gets involved.
And why
Not
didn't it
before
go to
then.
the planning board? Why didn't it go to the planning board at that point? That was all bypassed. You made a precedent on Croton Falls Road, but you didn't follow the same procedure for Maple Hills Estate. I see that as a big gap in the work that was done.
I believe in January of this year, the engineers here, he could correct me if I'm wrong, that's when the Maple Hill condo site, we became aware that that was a location that they were looking at. And I believe there was an application that was filled out, to go before the planning board, and at some point, Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, that process never went forward.
You're 100% correct.
Well, that's,
They developed an application package. The application package was denied by the planning board at that time, and it never was in front of the planning board.
on what
It-
basis did the
I-
planning board deny it?
I think it was,
In fact, it did not have sufficient information. I don't have all the details, but it did not have sufficient information to be a complete application at that time.
So then how could it go forward if the
All right.
planning board denied it?
ma'am, I appreciate these questions.
Okay.
But I'm really,
Can't-
I'm going to caution
All right.
everybody from responding anymore, because I don't want to do or say anything, and they're good questions, but I don't want to say anything that may jeopardize
I understand.
our
that.
negotiations, so I apologize. Normally, we would have no problem answering them, but we were advised by counsel,
I
be very
understand
careful.
legalities and how that works.
Okay.
I just was trying to understand, when is this going to get resolved? You know, do you think in a month? I mean, what are we looking at? She, you know, every day she sees a truck outside her door. You know,
We're-
we get nervous that it's going to happen and then it's going to be too late.
We are actively,
Okay.
there's a dialogue
Okay.
that's open between the
Okay.
town and Homeland, and there's information that's been discussed, and that's all I can say at this time. But it is, there are very, very in-depth discussions that are going back and forth between us and between the town and Homeland.
Well, you know, I hope this can get resolved soon with your negotiations, you know, because we're not confident at this point.
Well-
I mean, as far as these homeowners, how it affects them, their family, their health, young children, you know, we just go on, you know the story. And,
We are sincerely
Yep.
doing everything we can to try to get this resolved, to try to get this matter
Well-
mitigated. So we're working on it. I know sometimes that things don't move as fast as, and there's things that don't move in government that I would like as fast as they'd like to proceed. But, you know, this is a process. It's a negotiation, and you know how negotiations work, you know, and we've started that process. And I don't want to comment any further beyond that. It's ongoing,
okay,
okay?
thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Rob? yeah.
Hello. Rob Cavallaro, 49 Walton Drive. I just got a quick question. Last week, we had some electrical engineers coming to Walton Drive to look at the site as far as how they're going to power this thing or whatever. I don't know if anybody knows any of the details about any of this construction. You know, I'm sure it's going to be tree removal first, then it's going to be foundation, then it's going to be, you know, all the other things. But my question is, and we're all obviously also, we're not just concerned about the cell phone tower, but we're also concerned about the amount of construction as far as the digging, because we all have very delicate water tables at our homes. And on some occasions, some of the neighbors had to like re-drill their wells because they lost water. And the fact that we were told several times that the area where the proposed tower is supposed to go was really never supposed to be built on because it was part of like a very delicate water table. So when I was speaking to the electrical engineer last week, they rolled up with NYSEG and, you know, whoever they contracted. And basically they said that they literally have to dig up most of the road from where the power line is that goes all the way into the site to run the electrical lines underground. So, I mean, the first thing that I think is there's going to be a tremendous amount of digging and blasting and doing all of these things. What happens in the event where, say, the closest homes, including myself, but I'm not just limiting my own, it's all the homes, since the water table is just such a delicate thing and there's really no testing on it or anything, what happens if we start to, you know, our wells start to run dry for one reason or another? Who's going to be responsible for that? Would it be a town thing that say, you know, we need to help these folks get their water back? This is just a hypothetical because, you know, our minds are constantly running all the time. This isn't an easy time for us. This is the only thing that we think about, you know? Would it be Homeland's responsibility to say, all right, we're gonna drill all new wells for these folks because we messed up their water table? Or would it be the responsibility of the town? I mean, do we know, like, if that were to happen, what would, you know, what the answer is? Because I don't want our wells to go dry and all of a sudden, you know, we're up $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to drill a new well, new water pump and everything, but everyone, you know, it's gonna be our problem at that point. You know, do you guys have any suggestions on, you know, if that were to happen? Again, our minds are constantly rolling here, and we're thinking about all the negative impacts that are really, seem like they're coming down the pike.
Well, if there was damage that was sustained by a private homeowner, and it's determined that it was caused by construction activities, digging, blasting,
That's gonna be
whatever,
hard to prove.
then that's a claim, then you would submit a claim to the, I would assume, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that would be a claim with the contractor, with the insurance company that, you know, represents the contractor. If there was damage that was allegedly caused by their activities, then, am I right, Greg? Wouldn't that be a claim, insurance claim?
I mean,
against
the primary claim would be if the contractor undertook an activity that damaged either the infrastructure or the property of a neighboring parcel, then typically that would be where you would go. I
Well,
mean,
the
primary
activity would be
response.
the digging and all of the movement of earth. I mean, as I said, we have a very delicate water table there, so it's not gonna take much for our wells to run dry. You know what I mean? This is water, you know, this is our own water on our own properties. It doesn't take much for it to shift around once all that movement is being done there. So, all right, so that's just food for thought, because obviously, once we start realizing, let's say this thing goes on where it's supposed to go, and we start having issues with water, well, somebody's gonna have to take responsibility for that. It's not gonna be us. You know what I mean? So, I have another concern. I know that you guys are talking about, you know, all these negotiations, and I get it, you guys can't talk about it, and it's very, very delicate, but as far as moving this site to a different location on Maple Hills, and I'm gonna speak to all of you guys as a whole, because I know we were reprimanded in the past for singling certain people out. My question is, if there's somebody that lives on a parcel, on that part, wouldn't the discussions be a bit biased? You understand what I'm saying? For example, if I lived on a lot, right, and I guess I was also involved with negotiations, you know what I mean? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like some of the voting here might be a little bit biased as far as the conversations with Homeland Towers, because, you know, certain individuals might not want that cell tower hovering over their house now, you know? We keep talking about 3 different locations on the property, right? But, I mean, if I was on this board and somebody was trying to push that tower that's on the other side of the property over on top of me, I mean, my decision would be, my vote would be biased. You understand what I'm saying? And there's no ways around that. Nobody wants this thing next to them. Nobody. You guys didn't want it. You guys didn't want it. We don't want it, right? So, can you answer that question? Do you believe that it would be like a biased, you know, like once you guys start to vote and discuss, like, we don't want this thing on our end on that end of the property, obviously. But what happens if you guys put it on the other side of the property, closer to other homes there? Like, there's not, you know, you guys aren't all gonna agree on it, you know? Because again, if I was where you guys are sitting and somebody was trying to push that cell phone tower towards my house, I wouldn't like it. So that's food for thought. I mean, this is all the things that we constantly think about, okay? You know, I can't play with my girls the way I used to, okay? I can't do updates to my home like I used to. It's just, you know, we're losing sleep every night, not knowing if I'm gonna be there in 5 years or 4 years, you know? And again, the reason why we just come to you guys, and we know you guys are working on it, but it just feels like, you know, we just, you know, I know this is all taking time, and I don't want to keep rambling, but again, this was just food for thought. You know, my concern was the wells, and my concern was, you know, about biased opinions amongst you guys, amongst the people who, you know, potentially live on that property. All right? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and comment? If there are, come on up at this time. Okay, there being none, we appreciate your comments, we appreciate your feedback, and there'll be further updates on this as this issue progresses along. All right, but appreciate you being here.
Not related to this, can I just ask a question? Next Wednesday, is that still an open forum session that we can attend, or is it only once every other Wednesday?
Next Wednesday.
Next is planning.
Next Wednesday's planning board.
So there's four town board meetings this
Yeah.
month and one planning.
So the next meeting, right,
Yeah.
is
So 1, 2, and then
23rd.
middle Wednesday's town board is a planning board, and then you'll be the 23rd and the
The planning
30th.
board is meeting next Wednesday, and they need the whole room because of COVID. Everybody has to be spaced out, social distancing. So we don't meet next Wednesday. We meet again on September 23rd. But if I have updates prior to the 23rd, I'll get them to you guys. I'll get them out to you. What I'll try to do is, I think what we should do is weekly updates. Is that fair enough? Yeah. So weekly or, twice a week, whenever I get information, or even if I have no information to share, I'll just send something out updating you on where we're at. All right? And if you could disseminate that out to others, your neighbors, that would be great. All right? So why don't we do that? We'll get you something then next week. All right. Fair enough? All right. Okay. All right, you're welcome. All right, so I just have a couple of announcements that I need to make. You guys may want to hear this. You may or may not, but it depends. All right, so the town of Carmel, we've been doing this once. We did it twice in 2018. I think we did it once in 2019. There's been a lot of calls and a lot of requests for e-waste, electronic waste, for people to dispose of, old computers, TVs, monitors, fax machines, dehumidifiers, you name it. So we're announcing that the town of Carmel is going to be having an e-waste drop-off date, and that date is Saturday, October 24th, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Geary Roller Rink, right across from the Mahopac Fire Department on Route 6. So Saturday, October 24th, it's a scheduled e-waste drop-off day. So those of you at home that are holding on to your old e-waste, this is an opportunity for you to dispose of it. It's free. Just bring it there. We'll have staff there helping you get it out of your cars. Please wear masks and social distance at the event site. And the other thing that we're doing on that same date is a shred it event where you could shred documents. A lot of people, save important documents that they don't necessarily want to throw out in the trash, but they would like to shred it. So we're having a shred it day the same day as the e-waste day. So there's going to be two events on the same date on October 24th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So when you pull in the parking lot, that'll be where the e-waste drop-off is. So there'll be personnel there helping you with your e-waste to dispose of that. And then further on through the parking lot by the roller rink itself, that's where the shred it event will be. There's a truck there that does the shredding, and there's a monitor with a TV that you can actually watch your documents be shredded. It's pretty cool. So some people want to make sure that it's actually disposed of and shredded. So you can if you're interested in watching your event, your shredded items go through the machine, through the belt, you can. All right, so those are two important dates. We put it on our website. It's on social media already. We put it out there. Frank shared it. Susie shared it. I think Bob shared it. So we're trying to get the word out to the Carmel. It's for Carmel and Mahopac residents. You do need to bring a form of ID with you because we are limiting only to Carmel and Mahopac residents. We want to make sure that you're able to dispose of your items and that people from other towns aren't coming here and using our e-waste drop-off or our shredded day. All right, so that's all I have. Does anybody else have any other announcements?
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
I'm sorry, I just have one. Saturday, September 26th, I'm working with United for the Troops to bring a little comfort to the troops. There's a collection by United for the Troops, Jim Rashmith, who runs the organization, and it's unitedforthetroops.org. From 10 to 2 at the same location as the shredded. There's going to be a collection there of snacks, sundries, toiletries, everything that United for the Troop has been doing for over the years. They collect the items and they ship it to our servicemen and women overseas to bring them a little home comfort. So we're going to be doing that on the 26th. And again, if you need, that's unitedforthetroops.org. Jim Rashmith, and his number is on the flyer. That's 845-729-4239. And there's a list of all kinds of snacks, sundries, toiletries. They cannot ship anything in glass or aerosol containers, so they cannot collect those items. But otherwise, everything that's on the list, anything that you think could be of use to them.
That's September 26th?
Correct.
What's the time?
10 to 2.
10 to 2. Okay.
Yes, great
All right.
organization.
And it's going to be done,
Yeah.
and it's going to be done in the same manner as the food drives that we did. So it's going to be, social distance and everybody with masks. And it's going to go, you drop off at one table, it gets cleaned from that table to another table, and then from that table, it gets transported to the United for the Troops office in Carmel.
Okay,
All right? So it's
Yeah.
going to be done pretty much the same way. So
okay,
everybody's safe.
great. We'll get the word out too. All right, we'll help you with that.
And then,
All right.
Kenny, just a real quick update on the comprehensive plan public meeting. We were originally had it scheduled for, I believe, the end of September. I think it was September 30th. But because of COVID, things have been pushed back a little bit. So the public meeting is going to be held in October. We don't have a date yet because we're still preparing the materials. But it'll be open to the public for the Town of Carmel residents. And we're working on the workstations, and it's going to allow the company that we hired from Nelson, Pope and Boris and the committee to understand any issues and needs that the community at large thinks needs to be addressed. So they're preparing the public survey right now, and we're going to use the town board and the committee themselves to do this. It's going to go through SurveyMonkey to actually do the survey, just to make sure that there's no glitches. And once it goes through that with no problems, we'll get it out to the public. And we've been working on it. NVP, which is Nelson, Pope and Boris, has been separately reviewing the zoning chapters and other chapters that need to be updated, including the revisions that are needed regardless of the comprehensive plan. So again, there is an area dedicated on our website regarding that. So if there's any zoning codes or anything within the town that you want to be changed or added, please let us know. And you can let us know at the October meeting. You can let us know before that. So I just wanted to give a quick update on as far as the public meeting.
Okay, all right, great. Thanks, sir. And that's on the 30th?
No, it was scheduled for September 30th, but it's not now because the survey is going to go out to everybody by the end of September. The public meeting is now going to be held in October. We just have to find a date.
Just from an organizational standpoint, the supervisor has to deliver his the clerk has to distribute the tentative budget to the town board by October 5th. The supervisor was going to use the 30th meeting at the front end of the comprehensive plan meeting just to do that. So if the comprehensive plan meeting is moved, you're still going to have a meeting on the 30th for in Spofford
Because of the
to distribute the budget.
Okay.
And then the supervisor is going to do the PowerPoint and the budget presentation on the 7th.
On the 7th.
So you'll still have a meeting that night of this board, even if
Yeah.
there's no comp meeting.
No,
Okay?
we won't, Greg, because it's for the public, and we're trying to figure out how to do it safely.
I'm just saying, you all have to come back on the 30th.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. And we'll make it after October 5th.
Yeah, so on the 30th, we're going to have a special meeting?
Yep.
Just for the purposes of the town
Yep.
clerk distributing
town
the
clerk.
budget?
Yep, perfect.
And then on the 7th, Mary Ann and I will present it.
Got it.
Okay. Did you have anything, Bob?
No, nothing.
Okay. All right, so we're done. Thank you all for being here, and the next meeting is going to be on September 23rd at 7 PM here. All right, good night, everybody. Be well. Okay, good night.